Entrepreneur de la diaspora africaine, vous avez un projet d'affaires en Afrique? Imaginez pouvoir retrouver en quelques clics toutes les offres de services adaptées à vos besoins. Découvrez le Hub Meet Africa, la plateforme digitale d'orientation et d'information des entrepreneurs de la diaspora africaine. Vous recherchez des opportunités d'affaires, des programmes d'accompagnement technique ou financier, de l'information, des partenaires, des experts ou des consultants locaux? Conçu par et pour ses utilisateurs, le Hub Meet Africa met à votre disposition gratuitement une cartographie simplifiée des dispositifs d'appui, quel que soit l'état de maturité de votre projet, le secteur couvert, le pays visé et vos besoins d'accompagnement. Identifiez des partenaires et experts basés dans le pays de résidence ou d'installation de votre projet d'entreprise et obtenez des conseils sur mesure et des retours d'expérience pour le mener à bien. La recherche d'offres d'accompagnement n'a jamais été aussi simple. Les offres du Hub Meet Africa proposent des informations ciblées et pertinentes à tout entrepreneur de la diaspora désireux d'entreprendre en Afrique. Concrétisez vos projets business grâce aux outils collaboratifs et partagés. Positionnez votre projet grâce à l'outil d'aide à l'orientation. Accédez à des ressources efficaces et vérifiées pour comprendre le marché local et développer votre business. Entrez en relation avec les organismes d'appui à l'entrepreneuriat, les mentors, les experts, les investisseurs et tous les acteurs au service de l'entrepreneuriat de la diaspora en Afrique et en Europe. Interagissez avec les membres de la communauté à travers un post-it board et bien plus encore. Vous avez des idées et des rêves en Afrique? Vous souhaitez partager votre expertise et vos compétences? Rejoignez la communauté du Hub Meet Africa.
Alors, bonjour à tous et bienvenue.
Hello and welcome everyone to this webinar, and the topic today is tips of entrepreneurs from diaspora, how to do a business in your country. This is going to be the topic today. There will be another webinar in July. I would like to thank all speakers today, Sobi Kaba, Sanji Mouna, Marie Mantouré, and some of them still have to reach us. They are going to do it in a few minutes. Just some housekeeping to start. The first information is that this webinar is being translated into English, so you can select the channel that you prefer, because there is simultaneous interpretation. There is French channel and the English channel.
If you want to follow it in English, you just have to click on the little earth at the bottom of your screen. Voilà, c'est pour que ça se déroule bien également.
Then please switch off your mics and cameras during the webinar, and please do interact, raise your hands in order to react, also through the chat. Before getting down to the discussion, just a few words as an introduction, why we are here, who we are, and then we'll have the chance to listen to the speakers. And the speakers will give you some tips, as we said. This webinar today is part of the Meet Africa program. It is a project funded by the European Union and the Agence Française de Développement, and also together with Entreprise France, GIZ, the Presidential Council for Africa, and ANIMA. And there are two topics: the hub, you've already had some information in the video, and then the webinars. We work with 6 countries: Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Morocco, Senegal, Tunisia. There was a webinar on each of these 6 countries, and you will be able to watch these webinars, past webinars, on our YouTube channel. Today we are going to speak about tips useful for you if you want to start a business in your countries, tips from entrepreneurs. So this is the agenda for today, and let's let's talk about the hub. In the hub, you will find information from Diaspora about the 6 countries that I mentioned before. It is a platform enabling you to find information on the specific countries. For example, we tackle administration related issues. And then it is also a place where you can do networking with other entrepreneurs. And you will find information about different players helping entrepreneurs to start a business, to start a project in the different countries. And they can help you in all the different steps of your project ever since the beginning and also throughout or the following steps, the next steps. Having said that, why are we here today? We are here to talk about tips about how to start a business in your countries. We have Elodie Kaba, Sergine, who I'm not sure if he's with us, and Mariama Touré. Each speaker has some experience to share with you. They're going to speak about possible difficulties to tackle, solutions to implement, and what can be done to solve potential problems. So I'm going to give the floor to the first speaker. Who would like to start to share his or her experience? Elodie, sorry. We can hear you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Kaba Eyadi Sori. I am an engineer in agriculture from the Ivory Coast Ministry of Agriculture, and I am self-employed, and I work on cosmetic in the field of cosmetic produce. It is really important to know what to do, what are the different steps that you need to follow when you want to go back to your countries of origin and want to set a business, to start a business. I've had some difficulties and found some solutions. So this is what I'm going to say. One tip that I could give to those who would like to go back to their countries of origin in Africa. Well, first of all, you need to do a transition. You need to do it gradually, step by step. First, for example, when I wanted to go back to the Ivory Coast, I came back to 2021. But actually, I made the decision in 2019, and I came back, and then I then left again. So it was really gradually. So from 2019, and then I came back for good in 2021 because I realized that if you go back overnight and the change is so sudden, that is a shock. If you go back to your countries of origin, you realize that there are so many differences. For example, if you want to have a document and you're used to just waiting 2 days, it's a shock. And those who came suddenly, they were shocked because they didn't take the time to study the situation, to take a look at the situation. And then sometimes you meet people who are jealous. You're coming back here from the West because you want to steal some jobs. This is what you can hear. And then it is also important to find other people who can help you, people who know the area. When you come back, you need to find somebody who can guide you. You can't be on your own. You need to rely on people on the field, because if you do not do that, you will fail. This was my strategy. I had a project, I had a business plan, and I was looking for somebody who was already on the field who can help me. And we worked together. I left and then I came back, and it worked well. But I know people who invested money, they relied on people, and sometimes the result was not good. If you invest money, you need to find the right person that you can rely on. You absolutely need to do a transition. This is my main tip. You need to find somebody on the field. You can't do a sudden change, otherwise it will be really complicated. And it is really important to go to trade shows. For example, you need to meet people who've already had the experience. And you need to have some practical tips. I went to many workshops. I studied a lot. And this is what I did from 2016 to 2019. And then from 2019 to 2021, I prepared. I also did the practical part of the preparation. This is my main tip. And having said that, I'm going to give the floor to other speakers. And in case I will add some other information later. Okay, so you said that it is really important to find information. You said that it is important to go to conferences and trade shows, workshops, and it is also important to find somebody on the field, on the ground, to rely on. And then I would like to give the floor to Sergine. Please introduce yourself and please share your experience of coming back to your country of origin. The floor to you. Hello, everyone. My name is Sergine Atido. I am also a diaspora entrepreneur. I decided to come back some months ago to Ivory Coast. I have a business. I'm a business manager. I work in the import-export sector in the real estate and agriculture. And I started working in this field about 6 or 7 years ago. It wasn't easy. Coming back was no easy task. I would come back twice or 3 times a year because my company was already here. I had some stuff here, people on the ground, but I wasn't completely happy of the work that they did. So I decided that I had to come back because it is not easy to be in charge of everything remotely. I wanted to come back. Since September, I decided to directly manage all the aspects of my company. As I said, it is not easy to come back. But then I said, okay, I will give myself 1 year to adapt to the African system. The difficulties that I had to tackle are related to the frustration. It is not easy to have a document. You need to go to one office and then to another one. And sometimes it is really difficult. It's as if I mean, you were sometimes I feel really in difficulty, in trouble when I have to deal with the administrative administration. And as I always say, when you do not have a capital and you want to set up a business in Africa, well, it is really difficult. For example, you need to pay your employees, you need to recruit your staff, you need to find also a house. Many changes to be made. That was the case for me. I had to move to another flat, to another apartment, because I wanted to be closer to my job. So I had to tackle many different challenges, including housing and also mobility. That is another difficulty. Transport, because it is really expensive, and also communication. When I speak about communication, I mean phone calls, internet, because they are quite expensive. So these are the difficulties that I had to tackle. If you do not have a network, well, you feel a bit lost, at least with my company. This is what I experienced. Since I am in the Ivory Coast and I work in the field of import-export, I would say that I'm available. If you want to have some information, please get in touch with me. And because I think it's much better to be prepared before going back to your countries of origin. So these are the main difficulties that I had to tackle. The problem is that when you come back, you do not have a coach, you do not have a mentor who can guide you. So it is much better to prepare you coming back at least 1 year, or the bare minimum 6 months before going back. This is what I can tell you. Thank you, Sergine. Well, this is what you said made me think that, for example, speaking about entrepreneurs, you don't necessarily think about the personal repercussions. For example, you need to move to another flat. You also need, your family needs to move to another place. All these changes, about all these changes, do you have any tips about how to prepare to such change, how to get ready, how to prepare to move to another country? Well, before moving, it is really important to have to have a network on the ground who can guide you, sorry, also remotely. We have a service, a network of diaspora entrepreneurs, but also for students, so students and also entrepreneurs who want to go to the Ivory Coast. They can get in touch with this network, and this is a place where you can get in touch with people, talk to them through Zoom, for example. And this is a good starting point because you have the chance to find a job. Sometimes it is not paid, but at least it's a starting point. I think it's much better to prepare, to be ready. As I said, at least 6 months, or even better, 1 year before going back to your countries of origin, you need to prepare. And we are here to help you out. When you say to prepare You mean get in touch with, for example, Réseau de la Diaspora, so the network of the diaspora, get in touch with stakeholders who can help you, who are on the ground, who can help you networking, get in touch with different people. This is what you mean, right? Yes. Would you like to add anything, sorry, about this? I know it is not easy to find a job remotely. Well, it is not easy to find a job remotely or through if you do not have a network. Employment is not easy, especially because there is also jealousy. Because what I want to say is that even if you're qualified, even if you're skilled, if you do not have a network, it is not easy to find a job. For example, a good place to start is the network of alumni. For example, you can get in touch with the students of your university. This is the case for me. Once again, the network is key. If you do not have a network, you will have many more difficulties. Then, as for the management of the business, everything depends on how you will organize your time. I really like associations. I really like collaborating with other people. For example, in my company, I work with somebody else, and we are both in charge of different tasks. And I agree with Mrs. Sergine. When you said that you set up your company 3 days ago, and did you invest personally in the company? Or the three, I mean, you and other people had invested? Well, I did all the investment. That is the big problem. Well, the problem is that you were obliged to go back. And I think it is really, really important to prepare well before going back. That's everything I wanted to say. Sorry, I forgot to switch on my mic. What are the qualities, what are the characteristics that you need to have before going back to Africa to set up a business?
The quality you need to work in Africa, well, the first one is to be patient and then to be strong. The main one would be to be strong, yes. And patience, being brave. Patience, you need a lot of patience. Because if you're not psychologically ready, then if you're not careful, then you would just want to stop everything. So you must show patience. They are not trained, and they believe that if you invest today, tomorrow you will get your money back. That's the main issue. Because the objective now is to get millions, to make millions. And if someone tells you, I'll give you a business and you will earn 50%. Even at the bank, if you invest, the interest rate would be 3-5%. So if someone tells you, I'll give you 50%, it's nonsense. If someone tells you, I have a project and you will be a billionaire in 2-3 years, that's not how it works. You must be patient. There are a lot of challenges ahead, and If you can imagine you're following a project, you are drafting your business plan. After 1 year, you started your business. We will be facing challenges from the community, even from the person who gave you the idea. For example, if you're lending property, the owner is not actually the owner. So that's what is difficult. Fortunately, the state, the government is implementing system of documents to protect properties and to protect accountability as well. But sometimes you invested in something and then the person you invested to said, no, now you have to move on, and you lose everything. And regarding tenure as well and real estate, this is a nightmare for me. It's very, very difficult. There are other exit points, but in agriculture, it can be rewarding, but you must be patient. So patience, really, yes. Yes, you must not get into one business because you heard this will make you a lot of money. No, first you must be informed and trained. And you look into the business, you check if you're interested into it, because it's an investment. And you have to be knowledgeable about the topic you're investing into. If you need money, no one will back you up if you're not knowledgeable about your topic. But it depends on where your capital comes from, but you must be informed and trained. Thank you very much to you both. I now see that Mariama just joined us. If she agrees now to take the floor, Mariama, do you hear us? Yes. Good morning, everyone. Good day. I hope you're all well. I am as SERGINE. I live in Canada. I've lived in Canada for 15 years. I've graduated there. I had my first work experience, and all my work experience I had it here. And I decided to prepare my return to Africa. I started in 2019 preparing. I've been thinking a lot about it. I thought, yes, I do want to get back to my country of origin. I listened to many podcasts about on Facebook about it. Just one second, please. Hold on. I'll just turn on my video, but it doesn't allow me. Yes, I'm checking so that you're allowed to turn on your camera. So may I go ahead? Yes, please do. So as I was saying, I was looking for information on YouTube about investing in your country of origin. There are many people from the diaspora who got back to their country and are making videos about it. So I was determined to go back to Guinea. I'm from Guinea, and invest there. At the moment, I'm in Côte d'Ivoire. I've been here for a month. So I really wanted to contribute to the economy. And I had this feeling that that's where I belong. So I started preparing 2019 to get some information, calling people who were based locally. I came in Côte d'Ivoire in 2019. I came for a wedding and I stayed a bit longer to meet people and understand how I would be able to relocate. I got many advices. I've known many people many friends from Canada who went back to their country of origin and it went well for them. So I asked their feedback to learn about their experience. The experience is different from one person to another. Getting back to Africa, some may come back to a family that is still settled there. Others have contacts who will support them in their integration process. Others, like us, it's not the case. I went back home and my father was retired, and in spite of all his contacts, the first job I got in Guinea was a position as agricultural trade development manager, and I got it from the president whom I met in Canada. So that was an opportunity. I got selected, I went through the interview process, and I got in. Okay, so now my video should be on. Yes, we can see you now. So it's crucial to show resilience. You must not go back to Africa with high expectations. You have to set up your objectives, have a vision, and you must tell yourself it will work, and it will work. It's not a choice. You must be determined, and you must show resilience, because some people go back to Africa, and yes, there is competitivity. Even with my CEO, I experienced some form of competitivity. They will tell you straight away, well, you people from the Western countries, they have some prejudices. My CEO in his office is talking to me in an indirect way, but I'm working in communication. I'm familiar with nonverbal communication, so I understood that he was talking directly to me, actually. Within the company, many people were talking behind my back, saying she had this position because she's coming from Canada. But they forgot that I have graduated from universities. I went through both interviews, and I was not favored. So you have to be emotionally ready as well to face these kind of attacks and face these people who may not have the same values as you. You must be mentally ready, but also financially ready. SERGINE said that some come with some capital, but some come and they have a minimum savings. But the way they manage their savings in the Western countries, I feel like life is more expensive in Africa. From my point of view, I mean, you cannot manage it the same way. Sorry, you wanted to say something? Yes, it's not that it's more expensive, but you will spend more here. It's not more expensive, you will spend more. So, you know what I'm saying that, sorry? It's because transportation is really expensive in Côte d'Ivoire. It's a luxury to have a car here. In the Western countries, the car is a transportation mean. You can see someone in a 2022, 2023 Mercedes. It's not a luxury good. It's a transportation mean to get from a point A to a point B. But here in Africa, transportation is very expensive and the places are very remote. I travel a lot. What if you're taking the bus here and you're compared to the public transportation in Europe, it's the same price. But if you want to take a taxi, it's the same price. It's not the same price. It's very expensive. Well, I don't know about Europe. I've lived in the United States and in Canada, in Northern America. Transportation is not expensive. What can be expensive is your house or your accommodation, but it depends. Your wages are also if your accommodation rent should be 20% of your revenue minus your spendings. There are accountants here. Their rates, the wages is 450, 100,000, and maybe 20% of this amount together with the other expenses. It's not doable. The rent should not be higher than your wage. Yes, that's what I'm telling you. Your accommodation rent should be about 20% of your revenue. Yes, you will not be in debt if you think this way, but some people don't. But sorry, you know that there is a global crisis and life is more and more expensive. There is war in Ukraine. I take everything into account. Everything is more expensive around the world. For some people, 5 years ago, rent was 5,000. Now it's tripled. So people from the diaspora who want to come back home, I'd say 12 months of saving is not enough. You should have at least 2 years savings to come and live here. Schools are expensive. You must pay the school for your children, feed them, pay the house, the bills, even the health. If you do not have health insurance, you will pay a simple visit to the doctor 5,000 francs. Just 5,000 for visiting your general practitioner in the hospital. With all the tests you may run, it's very expensive. It's just to convince you that life is expensive and you must be ready emotionally, but also financially. In the Western countries, there are social services who will help you pay part of your rent. I know that in France, for example, there is financial support, social help, but here you will just have to sweat it out and earn your way in. So sometimes people here will attract other people, but you must be prepared. And as you said, if you come without preparation, you would just go back. That's something you all agree on, being ready, prepared, informed, as you said, going to forums, conferences to prepare yourself, but also financially speaking, it's an issue that is arising a lot. How do you secure fundings? And you, for example, and SERGINE as well, if you want to give us your experience, tell us about your experience on deciding, okay, now I'm ready. Well, I'll tell you the truth. I did not go back with a lot of savings. I came to try for a year. My parents have a large house, so I will not have any accommodation expenses. I will just have to pay for gas for my car. So I took that into account in my budget, knowing that I would not have to pay any rent. But if you know that you will come back and you will have to find an accommodation, I came back on my own. I was not married at the time, so I have this budget for myself. But if you come with your family, you must think about a family budget. So accommodation and check the websites if there are some to get to see what the rents are. If I come for 12 years for Côte d'Ivoire, I will need 2 million of francs for the first year. So as long as with this, it's just a general number, a figure. But if you have this kind of savings, then you will not have too much stress and too much pressure to find a job. You will have enough time on your hands to really settle in. If you do not have savings, you will take advantage of people. They will not be happy in helping you for too long. So I believe that forums will motivate you to come home, to come to Africa. The future is in Africa. But we need a reality check in these forums. We want to hear about the reality. You want to come home? Africa is a territory of opportunity, but you must prepare yourself and you must do this and this. These are the crucial steps before coming back. Otherwise, we will come back, it will not work out, and we will go back to the Western countries and think Africa is not for us. There is room for everyone. Tori said that, yes, you must be trained, but well, if you have experience in one area, you come here and get opportunity in another sector, and you will success. But it's important if you, for example, want to invest in finance, in cryptocurrency, well, then you must dig in a little bit, find some partners, and build your project. If you do not have experience in agriculture, why? There are many transferable skills, but make sure that you have support, local support, to help you advance and progress in your project. SERGINE, do you want to add something to what was just said? I also have a question that I just forgot, but it will get back to me. No, I don't have any comments at this point. I think Mariama covered it thoroughly. I just want to say something. If you want to build a business, some come with graduation in law, for example, and some things do not happen. Some, they want to build a business and they're not trained. And I don't mean like university degrees, but some trainings, 1 week, 2 weeks, get some knowledge. Yes, you're right. I'd say that you must have mentors in the sector in which you want to progress. If you want to raise cattle or get to agriculture, and you need some humility as well. Contact people, tell them, okay, I just came. It's true that I have Diplomés from France and I have a passport, French passport, but please teach me about these sectors because I'm interested in it and I want to get involved. Sometimes it's easier to do it that way rather than trying on your own and then just. Yes, I ask you, you know someone? Do you know someone? Do you know about this? And I'm just trying to mingle and adapt to the context. Yes, it's a very good strategy, having mentors, support. And when you talked about coming back to the country, if you don't have an accommodation, it's really, really difficult. I came back to my family. When I was buying goods, I will sell it, and my benefits will stay here. I did this for from 2019 to 2021. Then prices limited, and I just stopped. But you keep going. You keep going. You just make concessions, and you just make choices. Some people spend 7, 8 years old, 8 years on your own. But if you have family here, just go to them. Some, they say, no, I want to have my own apartment, and believe that it will be okay, but it's expensive. Electricity and then transportation, as you were saying. If you want a personal transportation, like a taxi, it's expensive. Internet is expensive. But you must know how to adapt. I use public transport. That's the way I do it. But I have a website, I sell online, I spend a lot on internet. So you have to make choices. You cannot have it all. But it depends on how much you travel every day. 3, 4, 5 commutes. If you need really, if it's in a very remote location and you need a taxi, then yeah, you have to invest more on transportation. I agree. Here you will spend more, because going from one place to another, it can cost about 3,000 francs just for a return journey. And if you have 3, 4 partners you have to meet, it sums up to 20,000 francs per day, so about $40. It's too much. That's what started me when I came in Paris. I was a student, so I was spending about 20, 25 euros per week. I was just going from school to home, but here in a day, I sat down at the end of the day, and I was trying to convert how much is 25 euros, how much did I spend in 3, 4 days? I couldn't believe it. And I started noted down what was really useful and what was not, what I didn't need. And I started reducing my expenses. Because you come home and you want to have the same life, you want to go and meet everyone, you're doing so many efforts, but then after a week, you realize that it's not sustainable this way. You cannot continue. So that was probably the first shock I had, realizing that on the long term, I could not keep doing this. You don't want people to know that you're here, because otherwise they will ask you, why didn't you come and see me? You came for one purpose, to get a job. So until you have that job, you cannot tell people that you're here. Otherwise, they will ask you to come, and you will spend money traveling around and buying gifts and stuff. So people, when they saw me, oh, you're here. And I was just telling them, yes, I arrived last week. I wouldn't tell them the truth, because otherwise they would get offended. But that's how I did that. Even if I was here for a year. Why did you come back? And when people asked me, are you here for good? I was like, No, maybe not. I don't know. I've just been here for a week, 10 days. Although I've been here for much longer. That was my strategy. And until you're stable on your feet, then you must not tell people, because otherwise you will just lose time, energy, and money traveling around. You're saving. You made a lot of efforts to save money, and you have a strict budget, and people don't understand that. You cannot lose focus. You must be ready and focus. If you're not mentally ready for that, you will just run away in the end, eventually. And if some people are listening here and they are willing to come home, to come back to Africa, don't be afraid, but just prepare yourself. There is room for everyone. There are opportunities for everyone. As Sergine said, she was coming back and forth, but now she's back. She's been back for 6 months, and now she's more at peace. She's more at ease than the previous times. Maybe you come back 1 year, you check, you know what to expect, you know what you will need, because needs are individual. You can go back and come back much more prepared and stay for good. There is no shame in doing that. It's about gaining experience. When I was living in Canada, I would come back to Africa every 4 years, and for only 1 or 2 weeks. Every 4 years, there are so many things that changed. You come back, you're meeting the family, your friends, everyone. Time flies, really. And when you go back home, you don't have really experienced the life. If you can take a whole year just to come back and see what to expect. Yes, that's a good advice. When you come back, when you come to Africa, focus on your purpose. You came here to get a job, focus on that. You give you a deadline, like for 8 months, I will focus on job. It's different than coming on holidays. Because if you come for holidays, what will you gain from that? Okay, you can, but if you are coming to get a job, then you have to focus on that. The networks are so limited that it will be difficult to enter them. So you must try to contact them. I didn't know that there was an alumni from my school here, but someone told me, you don't know that there are alumni here? And I was like, oh, great. And we are meeting now twice a month and exchanging. If someone is looking for a job, we are trying to help him or her. And that's how it works. You can see that there are many opportunities, but the entry points there are very limited. It's about networking. If you came for holidays, well, you will go back home and you won't have gained any experience. You won't know about anything. So if you don't make any efforts, you will not succeed. If you see the challenges that others faced, you can learn from that as well. This is life experience. You're moving on. You know you have the qualifications, you know you have the skills, so don't be afraid. But before coming back, you must be prepared financially, mentally, physically. Yes, be prepared. And I really beg people to have a support locally, a mentor who will help you. We will show you how he or she did it and help you develop your full potential and get you from one point to another. your mentor will show you step by step how to reach your objective. So it's crucial to have this mentor and to start before you come. So you start discussing it and then locally being part of a network. It's through the network that I met SERGINE, and then we realized, oh, you were living in Canada too. In which city? And then that's how it started. And when I was facing difficulties getting an accommodation with my husband, we would contact SERGINE and she would give us advices. She would support us morally as well, emotionally. We needed that. We needed that support, and having an active listener and someone who cares about your success as much as they care about theirs, and authentic people with whom you share the same values and who will accompany you along the process.
I didn't have a mentor. I mainly got information from trade shows, but it was my way to prepare. But it is good to have a mentor. That is a really good tip indeed.
Donc, dans tout ce que vous dites, dans ce que je retiens, c'est
Well, as I'm listening to your conversation, what I get is that it is important to get information, to train yourself, to create your network, to talk to people, to explain what is your project, also to adapt. Then you spoke about the financial aspect, because when you go back to your country, you want to do many, many different things, but then you realize that it is not important, not possible to do everything. So you need to set priorities and you need to focus on the reason why you are there and what you want to achieve. Okay, should we perhaps go to the conclusion? Would you like to add anything at all to what you've already said? Anything else you would like to add? I think that I've said everything. I don't know if my Canadian friends would like to add anything. I've said it all. Well, my final tip is to get a plunge and not be afraid, because you might think, oh, what are they going to say about me? I know it's a jump, it's a big dive, but when you do this dive, perhaps you're going to meet somebody interesting in the ocean. So do not be afraid to take a dive. I was really afraid, and I know that if I had come back in 2019, I would have had fantastic opportunities, because the prime minister was my my uncle. I came back just before the coup d'etat, and I would have had lots and lots of opportunities, but I was so afraid, so much afraid. I was frustrated because I was about to get out of my comfort zone, my safety. I was afraid and I lost time. I lost 2.5 years. But then circumstances changed and I did what I could. So my tip is not to be afraid, to dive and to be resilient. Resilient is absolutely key. Thank you very much, Mariama. Do you have any final tip, Sergine? Yes, what I can say is to prepare, once again, prepare. Preparation is important. Preparation before going back to your country of origin, regardless of what your country of origin is. Prepare your network, find a mentor, somebody who can help you, who can guide you. Prepare emotionally, financially, psychologically. Preparation, once again, is key. And for those of you who come with your family, I think it's better at the beginning to come alone. I was lucky because my children are adult, 26 and 22, so I mean, I don't have small children, and it was easier for me. So preparation is important, especially if you travel with your family. So come alone. Try to spend the first year alone to prepare also the arrival of the rest of your family. I can see that somebody raised her hand. Nesria raised her hand. The floor to you. Hello. Thank you for all your tips and thank you for your speeches. I know that in the Ivory Coast, the market is growing. This is what I learned from statistics and the media. I just would like to know if you agree, if it is also what you can see. Is it really growing? Or the economy is in recession? This is my question. Let me also add this information. I have a startup from Tunisia in the field of new technologies, and I would like to open a subsidiary in the Ivory Coast. That is my project. So I would like to have more information, first-hand information about the economy in the Ivory Coast. Well, the Ivory Coast is indeed growing a lot. I don't know exactly what kind of startup you work for, but I confirm that the market is growing. Well, we sell distribution solutions. We already have the technology and we would like to broaden our activity, to get activity to the Ivory Coast. Well, I think that the Ivory Coast could be a good place to go for you. You can perhaps get in touch with SERGINE, who is in the field of import-export. Right, SERGINE? Yes. Yes, before. Sorry, I can't see your name. Nesria. Nesria. Oh, right. So before setting up your startup in the Ivory Coast, I think it's a good idea to come to the Ivory Coast to check out the situation, to see what are the opportunities on the ground. The Ivory Coast is perhaps the first West African countries after Senegal, perhaps with a big potential. So there are lots of opportunities, but before moving with your startup, it is really important to come to the Ivory Coast and look for partners before making a decision. But our door is open. We can be your coach. Mariama is also available for coaching. So we are available for you, Nesria. Is it possible to have your email address or your WhatsApp? Your Mariama has, I mean, I've already sent the message on LinkedIn, but I didn't find you on the LinkedIn, Sergine. I'm a bit traditional, old style, or perhaps you can share your virtual business card. Okay, we can get in touch. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Nesria. Fantastic. This webinar also is also a good opportunity to do some networking. So I'm happy that it was useful for you. So once again, the tip was to go to the country and check out, prepare, talk to people. This concept emerged again. Okay, thank you very much. We are going to close the session. I think there are some questions. No, perhaps.
Ah, je vois qu'il y a une main levée, en effet.
Oh, somebody raised his hand. Malik, the floor to you, Malik. Yes, hello. My name is Malik. Thank you for organizing this webinar on the Ivory Coast. I thought there would be also Mariatou from Senegal. My name is Malik Fan, and I spent 20 years abroad in France, Italy. I was a manager in charge of IT in Emerson, that is a big multinational company from the US. And 2 years ago, I came back to my country of origin with my family and my children. I have 2 companies. One is in the IT, and the second one that I set up recently with the support of the Italian corporation Diaspora, that is a company helping Senegalese diaspora to go back and invest in Senegal. What I would like to do is to share my experience with other people, because I was also president of the Senegalese Diaspora Association, and very often people come to me and ask me about my experience. And so I set up a cooperation with the Italian corporation, because I spent many years in Milan, where I spent 17 years. So I was speaking about the Diaspora Cube, and with this company, we help Senegalese people to go back to their countries of origin. What you said was really interesting, and I absolutely agree with everything that you said. If I may, I would like to add something about mentoring. It is a really important aspect we need to work on. I think that ANIMA has a lot of experience in mentoring. In 2016, I was mentor to young Senegalese people who wanted to go back to their countries. And they even bought me a flight to go back to Senegal to do different activities. And we always kept in touch. I think it was a really good experience to me, and I hope that there will be more opportunities in the future. Another thing I would like to add, I think that training and education preparation is absolutely important. General directors, the general director of ANIMA, Emmanuel Noutari, he spoke many times about the different institutions that are in Senegal. But sometimes their organization is individual. So people, when they come back to their countries of origin, they start looking for information, but they should start doing it before traveling. For example, there should be orientation offices. This is how they are called, bureau d'orientation. But the most important thing is to set up procedures, so to start the preparation even before traveling, for example, from France. Very often we have ideas, and we think that such ideas are going to be successful, but then when we face the reality on the ground, we realize that it is going to be a failure. It is not going to work. So it is really important to set a framework well in advance, because as Emmanuel Noutari, when we realize that there are problems, it is too late. And before going back to Aubercaille, that is our office, people need to prepare, and sometimes even if their experience after going back to their countries was not successful, they might also decide to go back to their to the West, to their European countries. So I think that today there are lots of initiatives and tools that are available in the countries of residence of diaspora. Having said that, Diaspora Cube is absolutely available for those who would like to find more information. We do not, we can't really help everyone because our capacities are limited, but we are available. We also have an incubator, but okay, this is what I wanted to say. I wanted to give some additional information. Thank you, everyone, and I'm available in case you organize other webinars to share my experience. Thank you very much, Malik, for your speech. What you said shows that there is the need to have organizations to support people who would like to go back to their countries of origin, to go to other countries. Unfortunately, we need to close this session. Thank you for your speeches, for your insights and tips. But just before closing the webinar, some more information about future events. We are going to have another webinar on tips that has been scheduled the 6th of July. It is the second session of today's webinar, and then another webinar about internationalization in Africa thanks to diaspora networks. We've talked a lot about networks, ecosystems, and their impact. It is going to be an opportunity to talk more about this. This is going to take place in July, and then we are also going to have some workshops on Cameroon. And we can't hear Auriane. Her connection perhaps is not working properly. Okay, on the 22nd of June, we apologize. There is an internet connection again, perhaps.
En introduction, de comment donner des informations, comment permettre.
The connection is not stable. The interpreter apologizes, but there is no connection for Auriane.
Je pense que c'est la fin.
Moi, je crois que ça dure 1 heure normalement, non? Les Zooms.
Et j'ai vu qu'il y a une autre question de Grace.
I can see that there is another question from Grace for ANIMA.
Dans le meeting chat.
There's a question in the chat from Grace. She said that she has a question to ANIMA. She would like to know if ANIMA offers grant opportunities to small business owners.
Des opportunités de subvention aux petites entreprises, petites et moyennes entreprises, aux propriétaires de petites et moyennes entreprises.
Ben, je pense qu'on va quitter hein, parce qu'elle est partie, elle n'est pas là.
I think that we need to close this session because Auriane disappeared.
Voilà, automatiquement, ça déconnecte. Donc, on va continuer par mail.
La dame là, non? Madame Grace. Si vous lui répondre rapidement, c'est bon. Vous offrez des opportunités de subvention et tout.
Évidemment, moi, je ne vois pas. Hein.
C'est la question. Thank you so much for the question. My name is Grace. I run no business production. I want to know if ANIMA offers joint opportunities for business.
Ah, d'accord.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Good afternoon. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, my name is Grace and Grace Akubike from Nigeria. I currently run a nano business in the agribusiness. So what I do is I buy hibiscus flowers from the northern part of Nigeria, and I produce hibiscus drink, also known as zobo here in Nigeria, and also hibiscus tea. So I'd like to know if there are any grant opportunities available for young entrepreneurs like myself. And also, number two is to know if the process of probably exporting my product to French countries. So that's my question, please.
That is a great question, but the person who's supposed to answer that should just leave the Zoom meeting. So you have to maybe send an email directly to ANIMA and to see if this is something that is possible.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
We don't have that answer, unfortunately, but they have that answer for you.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Bonjour à tous, je suis Manon, je suis plutôt sur les aspects techniques, donc malheureusement, je ne pourrai pas...
Hello, my name is Manon. Unfortunately, I work from ANIMA, but I'm in charge of technical sessions, so I'm not the moderator and I do not have the answer to the question that was raised. So unfortunately, Auriane is having connection problems and we need to close the session. Thank you very much to all the speakers. There will be, as we said, the second episode of this webinar on the 6th of July, and there will be more speakers and more entrepreneurs who are going to share their tips. We are also going to have next week on the 27th of June a workshop on Cameroon. You will find the invitation online in case you are interested. If you have any questions, this is going to be an open workshop. So next Thursday from 9 a.m. at Douala local time. So please check your time zone. And in case you are in Tunisia, we will be in Tunisia. If you're there, do not hesitate also to participate in person. These are the details of the next meetings. And I am going to give you the link to the Hub Meet Africa, where you will find information about different companies and supporting organizations in Cameroon, Morocco, Tunisia. I forgot some of the 6 countries included in the project. Senegal, yes, here it is. So you will find all that you need, information, different sheets for each country. You will find contact to people, all the information to do networking. And you will also find information to get in touch with supporting organizations that can help you with your project ever since the beginning of your project all the way to fundraising. They will give information about how to find solutions, trainings also, and also acceleration in import export. Meet Africa really has a broad, an open perspective. So I will put the link in the chat. Here it is. Mam Diallo, who is my colleague, is the moderator of the hub, Meet Africa Hub. Auriane et Virginie are also two of my colleagues. Virginie is also in charge of the Meet Africa program together with Auriane and Mam Diallo. And they are also in charge of the organizations of next events, future upcoming events. Thank you. That's it. Thank you very much, and have a nice day. And thank you again. Bye-bye.
Allez, bonne journée à tous.